It's July 8th, 2013. And I decided to make a commentary on the recent Snowden affair, and perhaps in the longer term, Assange and Manning. So, I guess when you take into account the fact that the Assange Bradley Manning thing has been going on for a while, and then Snowden, it's kind of a most recent development. Excuse me for a moment. Must return some videos. This James Bond film, not very good. Do not watch this one. However, my wife did like this one. Seems to have made it in there. The James Bond one is really crappy. It was sort of like a really crappy late 70s, early 80s TV show. Anyway, boring, stupid. Okay. Maybe the same could be said of the Snowden Assange thing. But I don't know, it does get people excited, especially people like Amy Goodman on the program Democracy Now! And she gets very excited indeed about it. The children of Chomsky, virtual children, and so let's see. So I've had a little time to think about it, and I guess when Assange first did his stuff, I thought, that's interesting, and maybe some useful things came out. But on the other hand, I think there does need to be some classified information, not as much as what someone like Cheney would have done, or Nixon, but on the other hand, or Bush, but on the other hand, I think there does need to be some classified information, right? And the Glenn Greenwald, I listened to interviews with him, and he basically takes the view that, the way he treated the Snowden information was like, well, hey, I sifted through it and made sure there wasn't anything sensitive, and yeah, I looked over it myself and decided what could be released and what couldn't. Well, isn't that nice? So I guess now we have a situation where it's the ultra-lefty journalists, so-called journalists, who are going to decide what is classified information and what isn't. And so that's kind of an unacceptable state of affairs, okay? Especially when you take into account that the ultra-lefties of today are essentially acting as chumps for governments which are otherwise oppressive, and who would, are not really all that friendly to America. For example, we have George Galloway on Press TV, the Iranian English station, the English station out of Iran. George Galloway, remember when he debated Christopher Hitchens on Iraq? So now he's working for Press TV, isn't? Surprise, surprise! And then regarding Amy Goodman, she has received an award from CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. And you can examine, do a Google search for CARE and then Ayan Hirsi Ali or Salman Rushdie and see, how these people view CAIR. CAIR. Okay. Or Hitchens, I guess. Anyway, so, and then with regard to the Snowden thing, I was watching Russia Today, RT television, and they were just so happy about Snowden's actions, and, well, hey, now America's going to be more free. Well, meanwhile, Putin's making Russia less free every day, right? So, Russia Today has people like Tom Harmon on there, a liberal talk radio host, one of the few, I guess. And so they got Tom Hartman, and Press TV has George Galloway. And so I guess who's got Amy Goodman? I guess maybe the Council on American Islamic Relations, and who knows who else. Maybe Hamas. I don't know. So it just goes to show that things are a little more complex. And while it might turn one's stomach to realize that some of the things that people like, Pam Geller and some of the other similar people, it might turn your stomach to realize that, hey, maybe some of the things that these otherwise idiotic people are saying is actually accurate. Where's the lefties? Stuff like this. And I guess there are some lefties. We have Bill Maher. Bill Maher's not perfect, that's for sure, and he has wacky views on some things, but he's definitely right on 9/11. Okay. We had Hitchens, Christopher Hitchens, that is, not Peter Hitchens. And I think one of Christopher Hitchens' sons is working on similar issues. I think with Hitchens' first wife. He's a son of his first wife, Hitchens. So I guess the bottom line about Assange is, and about diplomatic immunity, I don't really care about diplomatic immunity. And I figure, well, diplomatic immunity is okay for, well, if you're an actual diplomat, maybe, but not for being able to hide someone out in your embassy, basically a criminal. And so anyway, Assange, maybe he did some good, but he also, he also may have done some bad also, and who's to decide? Well, I'm not sure whether people like Glenn Greenwald or Amy Goodman can decide, and those two people are essentially now in the same camp as Alex Jones. Remember Alex Jones, the tinfoil hat guy who runs a website about, everything's a conspiracy, and Anyway, when I was on my Mormon mission to Alaska, I met these type of people. And Alaska's a perfect place for them, you know. Alaska's a good place to... It's the end of the road. The end of the road, so you can go hide away if you're some sort of a nut job. You know, hide away, and you can just keep your... amass yourself a bunch of firearms and stuff up there in your little hideout in Alaska. Look out for the Illuminati! Oh my goodness, the Illuminati and the Jewish bankers and the Masons and the secret societies that control everything. Scary. And if you're with Kent Hovind, you can do it. You can stop using your Social Security card and renounce your U.S. citizenship. And yeah. So, you know, Alex Jones is a very happy bedfellows with Glenn Greenwald and Amy Goodman. So, that's that situation. Not everything America does is bad by default, okay? And just because some people did some bad things in the past, well, okay, let's be honest about that. But not everything is equal, okay? That's the bottom line. So, do I believe diplomatic immunity can be used to hide fugitives? No. I don't really care about diplomatic immunity a lot. I figure, well, okay, we can have diplomatic immunity with our friends, but, you know, I don't see much use in having embassies in the places where diplomatic immunity would be used to hide fugitives. So, for example, if Evo Morales wants to pull his embassy, kick the United States Embassy out, well, hey, that's fine, kick it out. We should just leave now anyway, okay, and kick yours out. How about that? Goodbye. Goodbye, Evo. See ya. Goodbye, Evo. And so if you study people like Steven Pinker, you'll realize that we have this noble savage myth. The myth of the noble savage, which the noble savage phrase comes from French. It's basically the idea that the quote-unquote indigenous person, although I think anybody born in a place is indigenous and native. How about that? But basically it's the noble savage idea is that American Indian stuff, always good, never bad, and if we could just return to the good old days, the tribal days, and that would just be, like a panacea, utopia. But if you examine, the history of violence, just check out Steven Pinker on that, okay? You don't believe me? Check out Steven Pinker. Okay. So the noble savage, and how can we get off using the word savage with people with Amerindian DNA? Well, we can get away with it because any human group can be savage, okay? So people with Amerindian DNA are no better than any other human, no worse. They're all humans, okay? They have just as much capacity to do evil as anyone else, just as much capacity to do good as anyone else. Okay? So, that's that. But people on the left, oh, they love Evo so much, even though he recently stated that eating chicken can turn you gay. And Hugo Chavez was another similar nut job, you know. Banana Republic people. Even though some people say, oh, it's not a Banana Republic, but, you know, essentially the same kind of tin pot hat people. So, anyway, so even ultra-lefty liberal Amerindians can have no clothes when they're emperors. Okay, so that's that.